Okay, I've got 8. I guess we'll go ahead and get going. Good morning to everyone. Um, Thank you for being with us for another um, Economic Development Authority meeting. And I'll begin as usual this Zoom meeting with our declaration in accordance with Governor Northam's declaration of a state of emergency due to novel coronavirus. Executive Order 51 on March 15, 2020, and the local declaration of emergency ratified by the Portsmouth City Council due to the coronavirus pandemic, which is continuing in the Commonwealth of Virginia. This meeting of the Portsmouth Economic Development Authority is being held by video conference on the 15th day of June, 2021, without a quorum present in the 6th floor conference room in the City Hall in order to reduce the likely spread of the coronavirus. Each EDA member is participating from their home. This meeting is being held in accordance with Portsmouth City Ordinance 2021-102. Notice of public access and participation to this electronic meeting was posted on the EDA and city's websites, and comments to the board about this meeting were received by EDA staff via the PORTECO at portsmouthva.gov email address. And once again, thank you. Our agenda this morning should be very short. We don't have too much before us, and as usual, our secretary, Robert Moore, will take us through the agenda. Mr. Moore.
Thank you, Chair. Let me say good morning to everyone. I believe Miss Angel Jones, our city manager, has joined us this morning. Let me say good morning. We'll do the roll call. Mr. Barber.
I'm here.
Ms. Drury.
Here.
Mr. Mitchell.
Here.
Mr. Brown.
Here.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Ms. Saunders Smith. Ms. Smith. And Chairman Smith.
Here.
You do have a quorum, sir. If I could, Chair, before we go into the minutes, we do have, as I stated, Ms. Angel Jones this morning, city manager. We also have another special guest from the economic development staff side. We have our intern for the summer, Mr. Jonathan McOsker. He's not mic'd up or anything from a computer standpoint, but Mr. McOsker is joining us from Virginia Tech. That's a little rub for me because I'm a Wahoo, so it's been a little different. But we accepted him anyway. But Mr. McOsker comes to us with a marketing background. He's a rising senior, so we're very excited to have him this year. So you will probably see him from time to time assisting us. He'll be with us for the next about 6 weeks. And he came to us through the HR Acre internship program. So we're very excited to have him as part of the office. The first item on your agenda, Chair, is the approval of the minutes from the May 18th meeting.
I hope everyone has had a chance to look it over, and we'll entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
Thank you, Mr. Barber. Thank you, Mr. Brown. Any discussion of the motion? All right, Mr. Barber.
Aye.
Ms. Drury. Ms. Drury, I think you're muted. She might be frozen. Mr. Mitchell.
I can't hear.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Brown.
Yes.
I'm gonna go back to Ms. Drury real quick. I think she was trying to speak. I think you're still on mute, Ms. Drury. You can't hear me. Okay. We're gonna come back to you. Mrs.
Just have
Underscore.
her indicate by raising her hand.
Yeah.
But,
I don't
okay.
think she can hear the chair.
Well, she gave me thumbs up
Okay, I'll take
to
that. I'll take
to the
that.
motion, to the motion.
I'll take that. Thank you, sir. Chairman Smith.
Yes.
Thank you. So motion carries. Next item on the agenda are the financials, and I believe we have Miss Patty Phillips.
Good morning. I figured out how to get the computer to work so you can see me this time. In your package, do we have those up on the screen, Brian? There are our typical financial statements in your package. I believe you received a lot of information. I'm not going to go over all of it today, but as always, either today or at a future time, if you have questions, don't hesitate to ask. Start with the statement of net position, which is the balance sheet that the Economic Development Authority has 1,101,689 at Town Bank, and then 250,000 is restricted in connection with a land sale. You'll notice that the accounts receivable for lease income is 156,250, so it's rather high. We have our typical capital assets, and we have our other assets at 19,394,093. So total assets at 22.1 million. Liabilities includes the loan on a recently acquired property, and of course the amount due to the city. And you all probably remember that the amount due to the city is because the city pays your bills, and then periodically the EDA settles up with the city. So right now that amount is at 519,885. There's also the note due on I believe it's the casino property of 5,217,000. And so net position is 14,485,189. So liabilities and net position equals assets. So flipping now to the statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position. I've changed the format a little bit with the idea that it's more helpful to you all. I'm showing the sale of land at gross $918,082, and the cost of that land sale at $2,247,767. So loss on sale of assets is $1,329,685. We accrue rental income. You'll saw on the balance sheet that a lot of it has not been paid, but we have accrued $188,092. Some revenue bond fees and miscellaneous income, contractual services on the operating expenses, indirect cost allocation. Under the non-operating revenues and expenses, your development grants, that I believe that Brian will go in more detail for you. Interest expense on your loans. The Greater Portsmouth Development Corporation contributed some land this year, valued at over $3 million. And in connection with some of your land sales earlier, because they had originally been acquired with CDBG money, that money has to go, those proceeds have to go back to the city, and that has amounted to $355,900. The transfers contribution to the city is basically rent that you've transferred to the city. So change in net position is an increase of $860,960, but that's primarily due to the value of the contributions from the Greater Portsmouth Development Corporation. Go ahead and scroll down, please. This is the little chart that I worked up to try to show you the individual properties that you have sold and what the value that we were carrying it at and what we sold it for, and you can see the gain and loss. So that's just information for you. Okay, go ahead and scroll down a little more, please.
Before you leave that, Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
could you just elaborate, or you or Robert, how do you determine the value of the assets there?
Okay, the value of the assets, you are provided a listing of all the property held for resale by the EDA, and it's got the date that it was acquired and the value at which it was acquired at, usually cost. And or if it was a donation from, say, the Portsmouth Redevelopment Housing or the Greater Portsmouth Development Corporation, the assessed value would be placed in that column. So that is the number that shows on your balance sheet, that property held for resale at 19 million plus. So these properties, if you look closely at the inventory that you have in your package, you will see a column that shows negative for what we sold, and you'll see that the asset value that we carried it at also. Does that make sense?
Thank you for that.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead to the next slide, please. This is your budgetary comparison. And remember that budgetary comparison is not the same as financial reporting. So you'll see some things netted out here and a little more detail if you'd be interested in that. And again, it's misleading because like the contribution from Greater Portsmouth Development Corporation is this huge amount of money. There was no budget for that. So it's not appropriate to say that you got all this extra money. That extra money didn't turn into an appropriation or anything available to you other than the value. It's not cash. And I'm not going to go into detail on that unless there is an interest from you all to have me do that. Okay, go to the next one.
I do have one question about that. That was a $3 million contribution, but it was not cash contribution?
Right. It was land.
Okay.
Yeah. If we, when we do the year-end audit, Mr. Brown, we're required to also do a statement of cash flow. And you will see that it'll look a lot different than a budgetary comparison or an income statement, because it's going to be based on what actually came into to money.
Yeah, I was trying to hold my questions to the end, but I do have another question. What's the source of the unpaid rental income?
That is primarily the Renaissance.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, and I think that's all we're going to review right now. And as always, we tried to give you more information. And if this body desires to have more detail at these meetings, just let me know. I'd be happy to do it. I just didn't want to inundate you with a lot of numbers, but wanted to make sure you kind of got the big picture of what's happening right now.
Miss Phillips, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I just want to say thank you for what you've already done and how you present. I think you've made things very clear, and then you're able to respond to the questions, with clarity and also with a definitive answer. And I just meant to say that to you in previous meetings, but from the changes that you've made, it has, I know for myself, has made things a lot clearer and understandable. And I just want to take this moment to thank you for that.
Oh, I appreciate that, Mr. Smith. It's very helpful. I don't know if you all may not know that I was in Virginia Beach for 43 years, and I've done a lot of financial statements in my day. So my goal, I know that what staff understands may not be what you all understand, and our goal is to try to make that easy for you.
Thank you. And I did know that. I know the others may not have, but I just want to thank you. One thing too, Miss Drury, are you okay now? Are you hearing Robert?
I am. He went completely out and I had to reboot, so I'm good now. Thank you.
Okay, and I see Miss Sonda Smith is here too. So
Good morning. I'm sorry I'm late. I'm having computer issues.
okay, all right, I can understand that. Go ahead, Mr. Moore.
All right. Well, thank you, Miss Phillips, for that report. So we're on to old business. And you see on there, it says LIP Update Ad Hoc Committee. We do not really have a local incentive program update from the standpoint of the financials. You have about $1,900 left in the program. Again, the program slated to end July 1, and we will reopen as you requested during the budget discussion, January 1. What I would like to do is update you on where we are with meeting with the ad hoc committee. And again, the ad hoc committee for the incentive program is Mr. Mitchell, the vice chair, and Mr. Barber. We have had an initial discussion, and our plan is to have meetings potentially every 2 weeks. We did a lot of listening as staff to what the vice chair and Mr. Barber were coming with as far as suggestions for the program. I'm very excited about what I think is going to come out of these discussions. The plan is to continue to have these discussions until your August meeting, at which we will present what we feel could be the best option or options for the program. And then certainly you all have a few months in between time to discuss, really hone in, craft it, and then have it ready for a January 1 utilization. But wanted this morning just to give you an update kind of where we are. We have met. We are scheduled to meet again, I believe, next week. Is it this Thursday or next Thursday? This Thursday, actually. I'm looking at Miss Angela Shepherd. This Thursday to discuss some more. And so I certainly yield to the vice chair or Mr. Barber to add anything to that. But I think we've had a great discussion and a great start to what I think will be a very good program starting January 1.
I would agree with that. We really tried to reimagine what the program could look like by looking at maybe some features that we had not looked at in the past. And I too am very excited about what we'll be bringing back to the board for consideration.
I concur.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Chair, that's all we have for old business.
Can I ask a question on that?
Yes, ma'am.
Do we know how, like a list of how many businesses we have? Do we have any out there who are waiting for the new program that have submitted?
So we do have a number of businesses out there. I will tell you we have at least 5, as we discussed earlier when we talked about the budget, that are looking for, I would say, the previous program and potentially some of that facade improvement and interior build out grant program. So I think what you're going to find is, and we've let these individuals know, these businesses know that the program is being revamped. And we did advise them as well as far as the program not starting until January 1. And while you can understand there was some desire certainly to utilize it, at the same time, you all do need to have some closings and things that kind of refill that budget, if you will, moving forward. But we do have about 5 different applicants that would have or will be waiting for that program when it's all said and done.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right. If there are none, then Chair, we can go to new business. Under new business, we don't see Mrs. Smith. We don't have her this morning. Again, she had a conflict, but Ms. Smith at the last meeting requested, could we look at, starting the meetings at a different time? more specifically 9 o'clock instead of 8 o'clock in the morning on Tuesdays. I will tell you that staff wholeheartedly agrees. Because again, for us to come in for an 8 o'clock meeting means we have to be in the office by 7 o'clock to make sure things work and things are in place. Staff is coming back with the recommendation to change the meeting to 9 o'clock in the morning. We would need a vote, and we would need a motion and a second to make that happen. But again, staff wholeheartedly agrees.
I'll make the motion for that to happen. Meetings changed to 9 o'clock.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
I second the motion.
Thank you, Ms. Saunders Smith. Any discussion of the motion? All right, hearing none. Mr. Barber,
Aye.
Ms. Drury,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Saunders Smith,
Yes.
and Chairman Smith.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. And so the next meeting will be at 9 a.m. And that's a good segue to our next item on the agenda, which is the July 15th meeting. As the city manager put out earlier this month, we are expecting or anticipating that the declaration will end, the emergency declaration will end June 30th, which will allow for us to have in-person meetings. So we are excited to welcome you all back July 15th for in-person meetings. And that meeting will be held across the hall from us in the networking center as part of Portsmouth at Work. So that is Suite 201 here in the across from our office. The meeting will still be recorded. The meeting will still be streamed so that individuals who still would like to see the meeting, but you would rather not be in person from a standpoint of the public, will still be able to see the meeting live as it happens. But we're very excited about that. And again, as you all just voted, that will start at 9 a.m. Any questions? Okay.
Robert, I just wanted to confirm with you the meeting date. I believe it's the 20th.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm
July.
looking at I'm sorry, I'm looking at my agenda and I don't know why it says 15th. So it is the 20th. Please don't show up on the 15th. It is the 20th. But now that you say that, real quick, just from an announcement standpoint, you could show up on the 15th. The 15th is in my head because we are having a job fair on July 15th at the Renaissance. So you could show up on the 15th, just go to the Renaissance, don't come to the office. But the next meeting is July 20th at 9 a.m. Any questions?
So we will be getting some more information on the job fair too, I guess, time and.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was going to say that to items submitted at the end, but I'll go ahead and tell you, you're going to see the flyer here soon. But it's July 15th at the Renaissance from 10 to 2.
Mr. Moore,
Yes, sir.
I have a question. Does the Renaissance charge you when you hold events like that at their facility?
Yes, sir, they do.
But is that offset against the money that they owe economic development?
No, sir, it's not.
Okay.
Keep in mind, and that goes, that money that's owed to economic development from the authority is really the pass through to the city. But no, sir, it is not.
Okay.
Any additional questions?
No.
We will have that flyer come out to you soon. So you have that information. We will have a number of employers that will be available for not only a meet and greet from a standpoint of the job fair, but also we have breakout rooms so that they can conduct interviews the same day. So very excited about that. Another item that I would like to quickly talk about and need the EDA's input on, which is not on the agenda, unfortunately, is the retreat that we have discussed consistently over the last few months. Looking at dates, again, we talked about late August. What I will tell you is that staff has some travel coming up in August associated with offshore wind and what we anticipate will be a very large offshore wind announcement later in August. So we would like to give the EDA a couple of options from a standpoint of the retreat. So Chair, if you don't mind, I'd like to go ahead and discuss that now. Again, it's not on the agenda, but would like to discuss that.
Yeah, I don't have a problem. I think
Thank you.
if anyone else does, they can speak now if they have to hold their peace, but I think we're okay.
Thank you. So we were looking at a couple options. One, we could do the meeting September 2nd, which is a Thursday. And it is the first Thursday, certainly in September. We anticipate the retreat will be from 9 to 12. The other option, we would like to, at certain times of the year, you all have a joint meeting with PPIC. We would look to, as another option, have a joint meeting with PPIC at your September meeting, which would be, I don't have the date right in front of me, I apologize, but your September meeting be a joint meeting between the EDA and PPIC. Then for the time that would usually be the PPIC meeting that following week, which is the fourth Tuesday in September, you could have your retreat. And I think that would be September 21st and September 28th. So 21st would be a joint meeting with PPIC. And then the 28th at 8 o'clock the following Tuesday could be your retreat. And that's something that both bodies could certainly attend. Or again, we could do it on September the 2nd. Ms. Drury, I think you're speaking, but you're muted. Sorry.
Is the one on September 2nd, would that be a joint retreat also, or just us?
It would be, well, and let me back up and say, the PPIC board requested that they have kind of their own retreat in advance. So we conducted that. We had a speaker come in at their last meeting to discuss the industrial and the industrial side and port related side of the economic development house, if you will. So they've kind of had their focused retreat, if you will, but we would like for them to participate. So that would, yes, the invite would go out to them as well. We would discuss this with the same situation with them at their next meeting, which would be next Tuesday. But we would certainly have it as a joint situation.
And are we still planning on having the speakers come in to talk about, okay, yes.
Yes. Nothing changes from a standpoint of the overall agenda. As far as you still have speakers, staff still has some things that they want to bring to the table. For example, Mr. Mitchell has asked, or Vice Chair Mitchell has asked for, kind of the city broken down into corridors and quadrants and things of that nature. So we're working on that, and those coincide with requests from PPIC as well. So we think it makes sense. So nothing changes. We just want to solidify the time. Again, August is turning out to be, we're having a banner year again this year, and August is looking to be a busy month from a staff standpoint with regards to announcements. So it just works out better for us.
And I like to say too, I think it's very good and timely that they do attend our retreat, because they're all new and they need to understand and hear exactly what makes us tick and what we're about and what we do. So I think it would be valuable for them to be a part of our retreat.
And that's why our recommendation to staff would be a September timeframe. You have your joint meeting on the 21st of September with PPIC, and then have the retreat at what would be their normal meeting time. And again, let me back up and say we're also going to ask that they change their meeting time to 9 a.m. as well. But have it at their normal meeting time the following Tuesday, so that way it doesn't disrupt anything from a staffing standpoint. So that would mean the retreat would be September 28th.
Robert, I don't have any, preference in terms of time-wise, but I would sort of ask that you sort of put together a summary sheet of the programs that they administer and their sort of a summary of their financing, as well.
Yes, sir. We'll put that together actually we typically do that for the joint retreat, the joint meeting. So we will have that for you, yes, sir.
Where you at?
Any other input?
Well, I was thinking along the lines of, okay, it sounds like the joint retreat would be great on the 28th, but why not on the 2nd have, I don't know if we want to call it retreat for us, but a plan where we would discuss what our plans would be for the year, what we're looking at before we take it to the joint retreat. So we're all on one page.
Okay. Okay. Any other thought about that?
Is that at our regular meeting?
No, that is a Thursday.
Okay, I'm just getting confused, all of these dates going around.
So it sounds like, Ms. Saunders Smith, I don't want to misspeak, but it sounds like you do want to have the retreat itself on the 28th of September with the PPIC. However, you would like to have an additional meeting in September outside of your normal meeting. You'd like to have that September 2nd date to have more of a strategic planning discussion with just the EDA.
Correct.
Okay. Any other input from Commissioner?
Mhm.
We want to get a consensus that, you know, everybody wants to do this. That's what he's getting at.
Yes. So how about we do this? Can we start with the let's say joint meeting first? Do I have a consensus for a joint meeting with PPIC and EDA on the 21st of September? That is your regular meeting time in September.
Everybody can signal.
Hands up, thumbs up. Okay, I'll take that. So then can I get a consensus for the 28th for a retreat, which is the following Tuesday?
I'm with it.
Any other consensus? Okay. All right. Thank you. So then, separate and apart from that, another I'll call a strategic planning meeting on the 2nd of September. Can we get a consensus on that?
I want to make sure I'm excuse me. Okay,
Yes.
the 21st is just our regular meeting.
It would be your regular meeting, but again, it would be a joint meeting. So if you recall, when we do joint meetings, you have your meeting, PPIC has their meeting, you're all at the same table, and then you have a joint discussion about, you know, how you all work together, things of that nature.
Okay. Okay, well, I guess I would ask the members of our committee, do you think we need to kind of have a strategic plan of where we want to go when we meet with them, when you don't think it's necessary?
I don't think we need an internal meeting to go strategize with PPIC. I think we can skip past the internal meeting. That's just my sentiment.
Okay.
I don't know. I actually agree with Teresa. I mean, we've talked about a lot of things that we want to talk about.
Mhm.
And I think that with the PPIC having so many new, and I mean, I couldn't even tell you who they are right now. And I know that, you know, they're really like on a learning curve, whereas we've got the ball rolling, and I know there's a lot of things I would like to talk about, and I don't know, honestly, if it pertains to them.
Okay. So what we could do, just from a timing standpoint, because I'm hitting you with this fresh, we can go ahead and set in stone the joint meeting on the 21st, retreat on the 28th, and we could come back in July and have the discussion as to whether or not you want to have that extra meeting on the 2nd of September.
Robert, is there any reason that the joint meeting and the retreat can't be combined, or is there?
It's not, it's just going to make for a longer day, but that's up to you all.
Yes, my question, Robert, is do you know at what point we'll have a better idea of how much funding we're going to have, either from CARES Act or revenue from the casino?
I think by September, because we'll be closer to closing. from a casino standpoint. And I think from a Recovery Act standpoint, I think we'll also know hopefully by that time where we are. Again, you're talking about 3 months from now. So I would anticipate that would be the case. I don't want to put the manager on the spot, but I anticipate that would be the case.
Well,
I kind of agree with Teresa. I mean, once we get this funding, we really need to have an in-depth conversation in terms of at least recommendations from the board in terms of some key initiatives we would like to do.
Okay.
And
No problem.
I'm trying to hold out to let everyone speak before I speak.
Okay. So I think we've heard from Mr. Brown, Mr. Mitchell, Ms. Drury, Ms. Saunders Smith, Mr. Barber. I think you were kind of good either way. I don't want to get out on this.
Think about this, I don't really, have a strong opinion one way or another. I'll be glad to go with the flow.
All right. Well, Chair, I think it's on you.
Well, my concern, I see both also, and I don't have a problem with either way, but my concern is that the sense of urgency, to have that discussion with them, or to know these kinds of things that we should know with them, when it seems like a rush for us just to have this available for that meeting with them. And it's going to probably be well into September before we will really know what the money situation is. So I'm just saying there's no rush to have that strategy meeting just for that joint meeting.
So your recommendation sounds like would maybe have a strategy meeting, but maybe have it later.
Yeah, maybe around the 1st of October.
Okay.
I don't really think it's necessary for us to be ready for that just for that PPIC joint meeting.
Okay.
I guess I'm a bit confused. I didn't think the strategy meeting that we were talking about was to get ready for the 28th meeting. I thought strategy overall so that we would be on one page. That's what I was thinking about.
I thought you wanted to have a September 2nd meeting to strategize for the
No,
next meeting.
no, definitely not.
Okay.
And speaking to Mr. Barber, what he was talking about, if you're trying to cut down on meetings, normally when you set up for a retreat, you think it's an all-day affair anyway. I mean, normally retreats if we want to lessen the amount of times that we meet, maybe we could do what Mr. Barber is discussing and do that one all-day meeting.
Okay. So
Yeah, and let me say this, I would be in favor of that versus having these additional days, because I'm used to having been on school board, city council, and other groups for 2 all-day retreats. But I'm not advocating that for us,
Right.
because I wanted our meetings to start at 12 o'clock. But anyway, I just wanted to make sure that, everybody's on board, how you feel about meeting multiple days versus trying to get as much done within a day. I think that's the preferable way for me. So if we want to strategize the first part of that day that we have that joint retreat and then be ready, I guess. But then we run into the problem of if staff needs some further research or they can't respond to all of our questions, we take that risk.
So how about this? I think we could kill 2 birds with 1 stone in the same month. How about we keep your regular meeting, okay, in September, which would be the 21st. At the 21st meeting, we could have an extended meeting to have that discussion, the strategic discussion that you all want to have, just you all, okay? The 21st, your regular meeting. Then on the 28th, have the joint meeting / retreat. So that would be during PPIC's time, joint meeting / retreat. So we'd have your strategic discussion the day of your meeting, which would be the 21st, and then have the joint meeting with PPIC and the retreat at the same time on the 28th. That way there's no extra meeting other than what would be the retreat.
That sounds good to me.
Okay. Can I get a consensus on that? Staff just needs to know because we've got a plan for it. Okay. So we will have your regular meeting with strategic discussion on the 21st, potentially closed session. And then the 28th, we will have, and I'll still have to discuss this with PPIC, but I don't see it being per se an issue. But the 28th, have a joint meeting with PPIC, EDA, and then the retreat, which will make a longer day. But I think we're all in agreement that that's fine from that standpoint. Okay, I'm gonna take all the thumbs from the first time. So, okay. All right, so we will move forward with that with PPIC. We'll have that discussion with them next week, and we will put that together and put that agenda together and still get the information that Mr. Barber has asked for example, regarding both boards. Okay. Right. If there's no other discussion on that, the next item of new business is project updates. And really, this is an update to talk about as what Ms. Patty Phillips discussed earlier. EDA has been active. You've had approximately 4 closings in the last 5 months. So we wanted to give you kind of an update on where those are, where we think we're going to be. And I think this will assist again with your kind of discussion when we get to September. So next slide. So these are the 4 properties that have sold in the last, like I said, in the last about 5 months. 0 London, 602 5th Street, 0 Harbor Center, which is the Harbor Center Court, which is the old North Pier, and then 833 High Street. 833 High Street is the property on the left. You also own the properties on the right. Those have not sold yet, but the one on the left has sold. When you look at the recent sales from a total numbers standpoint, they total almost $1 million, $994,300. Yeah, $994,300 to be exact, was the sales price. Again, a number of those were CDBG. The 500,000 that was sold or that was gained from the Fairlead sale, 250 of that, as we discussed earlier, is being set aside in case some improvements need to be made to the pavilion. But you guys have been active. You should have received in your packet a list of the properties that you all have highlighted with some green highlights there. When you start looking at the upcoming sales, and I think we have another slide, another few slides. These are some of the properties that we anticipate will close by year end. When I say year end, by calendar year end. 219 Pavilion. Very excited about what potentially could be coming to that property and to that space. So more to come on that at a later date. Next property, 3335, 3345 Victory Boulevard. We're going to discuss this in closed session, but we're looking at that closing here very soon. Also included in that is the next slide, which I believe is going to be Victory Village. Yes, which is the casino. And let me be clear, I should have started off with this. Let me say thank you to the EDA. I sent you all an email, saying congratulations and thank you, but really want to say thank you to you all. Again, it was about 1.5 years ago when the MOU was put in place with Rush Street, and we've come a long way with regards to that project and where we are. You're going to start seeing here soon some dirt moving. So you all should be very excited and thank you again for the part that you all played in making this happen. And I think we have one more property that is set to close here soon. Yes, 3125 Victory Boulevard. So all 4 of these properties we anticipate will be closing over the next about 6 months. And I think there's one more. All 5, yep. And the last one would be the A4 development, which is the former Mary Jane site. We anticipate that will be closing as well. That just went to council for the first reading this past Tuesday, and they'll go for the second reading next Tuesday. But what we're looking at now is These 5 properties closing by the end of the year, and those total, from a sales standpoint, about $17.6 million. And I believe there's not one of those that is a CDBG, but there's actually, I think there's one more. 409 McLean Street. Yes. The power of technology and not moving as fast as it should. So 6 properties total, closing by the end of the year. So you would have 10 properties closing this year, we anticipate, with a total value of almost just over $18.5 million. That's great for an economic development authority in a calendar year. But we wanted to bring these to your attention, kind of let you know where we are, what we anticipate, and where we're going to be, because there's going to be a lot going on. It looks like there's some smaller lots, the south side lots, which I think you guys have already signed off on that. And those will be for some residential single family homes. But the majority of your properties are commercial properties that are going to be back on the tax roll in some way, shape, or form, and pushing the city forward. But this morning, we just want to give you an update of kind of where we are. And then once you do that, when we start talking strategy, you're running out of property. So when we start talking about strategy, we also need to talk about strategic acquisitions. Again, not an open session, but we do need to start talking about, how we move forward as an economic development authority. Any questions?
Is there an update on the Breeden property, the one that was turned down by city council, on what's going to happen with that?
Yeah, no update at this time. What I will tell you is we hope to bring you an update at the next meeting, but no update at this time.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Robert, one thing that I'd like us to look into, not necessarily immediately, but it's something that we can make it a topic for our strategy meeting. It is the properties that we do have, and the idea that we will get an influx of some money, and doing some simple things to those few properties that we have left. Some of them are heavily wooded. Some of them cost us a lot of extra money doing maintenance and things like that. Whether or not we need to get those at least cleared flat, to make them more attractable to folks that are looking. Sometimes when folks see a forest or trees, you don't get the full impact of what they may be looking at. So that's something I want to put on the agenda to talk about in our strategy meeting.
Right. No problem. Yes, sir. We will put that on there. Any other comments? Questions? All right. We do have a need to go into closed session. Mr. Mitchell, I believe you have do you have the?
No.
Okay. Mr. Donahue, do you happen to have that?
I do not, Mr. Moore. I don't have that.
Okay. Give me 1 second. Miss Shepherd is going to send it right now. Both of them. Okay, Mr. Mitchell, I think you should have it now.
Not yet.
Okay.
There it is.
Hey, Robert, I have it. I can read it if you want.
So you have it, Jeff? Okay. Could you read that for us, please?
Move to go into closed electronic meeting pursuant to Virginia Code subsections 2.2, 3708.283, 2.2, 3711A3, and City Council Ordinance 2020-102, for the purpose of discussing the disposition of real property where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body, specifically regarding 3335 to 3345 Victory Boulevard.
So moved.
That's not what I.
Yeah, that should be the motion. I apologize, Mr. Mitchell, for you not having the right one.
Okay.
But thank you, Mr. Barber, for that motion. Can I get a second?
I second.
Thank you, Ms. Drury. All right, any discussion of the motion? Okay, Mr. Barber,
Aye.
Ms. Drury,
Aye.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Saunders Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Smith.
Yes.
All right, thank you. We are in closed session. So if you could leave out and click on the closed session link. And we'll see you all in a few minutes. Okay, Chair. I think we have everything. I just want to make sure. I see Mr. Brown. I see Ms. Saunders Smith, Ms. Drury, Chairman Smith. I see Mr. Barber, and I see the Vice Chair. So we have all 6 members. Mr. Mitchell, did you receive that email?
Yes, I have it.
Okay, if you could read us back in open session, please.
I hereby move that each commissioner certify that to the best of his or her knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered in the closed meeting just concluded.
Can I get a second, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Barber. Any discussion? Okay, Mr. Barber,
Aye.
Ms. Drury,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Brown, Mr. Brown, you
Muted.
can mute.
It's muted.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Saunders Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Smith.
Yes.
All right, we are in open session. With that, we need to take a vote on removing or providing a waiver to the potential purchasers of 3335 and 3345 Victory Boulevard. We need a motion and a second.
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you, Thank you, Mr. Barber. Thank you, Mr. Brown. Any discussion? All right, Mr. Barber,
Aye.
Ms. Drury,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Saunders Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Smith.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. There are no other items for the open meeting other than items submitted by board members. Didn't know if the commissioners had any items they want to bring up.
I just had one thing. I was kind of intrigued with what Ray was saying about cleaning off some of the property that we might be selling, and I was just wondering if any of that property could be used for multi-use until it was sold. So, for example, community gardening or temporary basketball court, just anything that the EDA could get some publicity for, that we're kind of donating this space temporarily. So it may not make any sense, but I just wanted to throw it out there for those properties that we might be able to do something temporarily with. That's all.
Sir, if the board is kind of in consensus, that certainly I think can make sense. We would reach out to planning to see, what is a viable option for that, and then we can report back in July.
Yeah. Yeah. Do that research so that we'll have it for that discussion in the future.
Yes, sir.
A good strategic plan session. Talk at our session.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm trying to think of a reason to keep you in this meeting, Robert.
I see you're doing a great job. So I'm hearing none, but the next meeting is July the 20th. That is the correct date, at 9 a.m. Thank you for that nudge in time. Again, also keep in mind, we will send out the information regarding the July 15th job fair at the Renaissance. So we're excited about that as well. But other than that, Chair, we have no other items.
Okay, well, let me close out by thanking everyone again. And I will say this, and you probably heard me say it again. You know, you guys make things pretty easy, and that's why, you know, I feel the need to kind of relax, you know, some of our, you know, stringent rules as far as, you know, decorum. But as long as, you know, y'all guys operate the way you do, we can continue as we been continuing. And what I mean specifically is, you know, waiting to get acknowledged to speak, you know, other than if, you know, there's conflict between, you know, 2 or 3 folks, but we rarely have that situation. So bottom line, I thank y'all for being laid back, being calm, and taking our time, you know, going through the agenda. It's not often that we're gonna have these short ones like this. I was hoping it'd be even shorter because I had something to do too. But anyway,
I tried.
yeah, we tried. But thank y'all, and once again, I hope everyone, you know, continues to have a safe day, and you know, get out and do some things. And I've been to Florida twice in the last 3 weeks, so you know, things aren't as bad, you know, even down there as they appear. It's different down there because there was hardly any mask being worn except my mask. But a lot of people that I was with have been vaccinated, and that's the good thing. So again, please be safe, and thank you again for being here today, including our manager and the others that were on the call. I don't recall seeing a councilman today, but if they were and I missed them, you know, we want to thank them too. So everybody have a great day, and we'll see you, Robert. When we gonna see you next time?
At the next meeting, July 20th.
Okay. All these dates been flying around. I'm telling you.
You're good.
Okay.
Well, we will keep you straight. All right. You all have a good day.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you.